My name is Professor X.N. Iraki. I am at the University of Nairobi, where I teach young men and women how to make money honestly, basically teaching them economics and business. And when I'm not at the university, I do a few other things. I negotiate for dowry over the weekend, and I play golf. So I think the government seems to have listened to what the people are demanding. That's why there's emphasis on efficiency, less leakage, so that we can do more with what we have. But I'm sure at the end of the day, the government will need more money, not just from taxes, but an area that has been not talked about, which I think is debts and loans. And I'm sure as soon as the budget is read, I'm sure you're going to hear something about loans. But for now, because of politics, it's an area that nobody's talking about. But I'm sure the government must balance taxes and loans and debt. I'm going to work for 30 years. Work hard from the rising of the sun to the setting of the sun. And then I'm going to save money for my pension when I'm tired, when I'm exhausted. So you cannot come and start taxing pension. So I think that was something long overdue. It is something that it's the right thing to do, because pensioners have already contributed enough to the country by the time they retire. So it's only fair and just that we don't tax the pension. Now when you think about mortgage, one of the most contentious issues seems to be housing. So I think the government has realized that it cannot build enough houses just through housing levy, which has been very controversial and contentious. But that's why they are saying we can give you some relief if you take a mortgage. So I think the government has realized that to solve the housing problem in Kenya, you need a pair of scissors, the private sector and the public sector. So I think that was a move in the right direction, but I still believe that interest rates should go down a bit so that we build more houses and make more Kenyans houseable in decent locations and in decent houses. I think there's always been a feeling that people in the government benefit a lot from allowances, from per diems, and all other things that they get because of being in the government. So maybe we are trying to make sure that whether you work for the private sector, whether you work for the government, you all benefit from these perks, you benefit from those allowances and so on. I think it's a question of equality, a question of equity, because you all work, and it's only fair that if you have to pay taxes, everybody pays taxes. What we need to do is we have more experts give their views, whether they are in finance, whether they are not in finance, whether they are farmers, whether they are hustlers, whatever they are. Let's listen to their views, so that by the time we arrive at the final draft, we have as many views as possible, and the views are as representative as possible. If we do that, and the government listens, I think we are going to come up with a better budget that is going to take care of all our interests, and we might not want to see Kenyans on the streets again. Because if you remember, the report that appeared in the media today, the GDP growth rate has gone down from 5.7 to 4.7, a substantial drop. And one of the reasons was because of the chaos we had last year. So the chaos, anytime you have political chaos, it is always reflected in the economy. The economy has not been performing very well. So we don't need to do anything else that will destabilize the economy, and we end up having our young men and women losing jobs, all not living to the expectations. So let's talk together as Kenyans. This is our country. We see how we can solve our socio-economic problems.